Coming up on Campus Connection, debating virtually. It's something students and debate coaches are having to deal with this semester. We'll show you some of the Jack Howe Memorial Speech and Debate Tournament in action. Plus, remote learning is forcing many parents to decide if homeschool is a better alternative for their children. Hello and welcome. Thank you for watching Campus Connection. I'm Wiley Johari. Long Beach State has paused all in-person learning for the next 2 weeks. This after 5 students have tested positive for COVID-19. 4 of those students live in the resident halls, so now all students living on campus have been placed in mandatory quarantine and will also be tested. Meanwhile, in the city of Long Beach, COVID cases are continuing to drop. Until now, more than 11,000 people have tested positive for the virus, and more than 200 people have died. In the city's latest news conference, the mayor says he wants people to stay safe, and the city has recently launched a new mobile testing resource targeting undocumented and immigrant communities.
Patients and people that are sick, especially if you are undocumented or an immigrant, you are less likely to seek help.
The mobile testing clinic will travel through West Long Beach, parts of Central Long Beach, and even through parts of Northern Long Beach over the next few months ahead of us. Well, for the first time ever, the Long Beach State Forensics team held the annual Jack Howe Speech and Debate Tournament virtually. More than 1,500 high school students competed, and as Don Perkins reports, there were both pros and cons.
In a democracy, voting ought to be compulsory.
High school students presented their speeches and their cases before judges online. Julia Denton is debating in the tournament. She found competing online has its challenges.
Not really able to make eye contact with your judge or be able to look them in the eyes and really convince them why you should win. So I think that part of it was a lot harder this time around.
The annual Jack Howe tournament is a huge fundraiser for the beach forensics team, raising $80,000 to $100,000 a year, money that can be used for scholarships, supplies, travel, and lodging.
One advantage I can say about being online is that we can purchase the amount of rooms that we need, and we don't have to worry about being under.
The tournament is usually held on campus in over 200 rooms. Now that the tournament is virtual, attendance is limited to participants and judges with internet and computer access. Speech and debate coach Cameron Martin opened up classrooms at his high school for any students having issues. Other coaches also struggled in this environment.
With it being virtual, coupled with, the woes of the pandemic, it's been very hard to keep people motivated.
The high schoolers competed all weekend and some qualified for the National Tournament of Champions. The virtual experience made for tough competition, bringing students across state lines together without being inhibited by travel costs.
So competition is going to be a brand new level of high.
Each student from Martin's team won at least one round during this traditional tournament at Long Beach State.
I'm going to ask you another question now.
Julia is a junior, so this won't be her last.
I was really nervous the first round, but after a few rounds, I kind of got the hang of it, and so I knew what to expect, and it wasn't too bad at all.
For the beach forensics team, they say that all they can do is prepare and hope for a successful tournament and resume in person soon. Don Perkins, Campus Connection.
The COVID-19 pandemic has many parents struggling to transition their kids to remote learning as the fall semester begins. Some parents even considering to homeschool their children instead.
LA County is currently on the state of California's COVID-19 monitoring list, with more than 8% of people testing positive. This means that the Long Beach School District is still prohibited from reopening its schools for in-person learning.
I don't like online school. I think it's difficult to absorb the material. I think it's challenging to be engaged.
Before the pandemic, students went to class in buildings like the one behind me, but as you can see, there's no students around. Now students are doing their classes and so many assignments virtually through programs like Zoom and Google Classrooms. However, these programs and this new method of instruction is not without error.
So LBUSD this year adopted Canvas. Before we were using Google Classroom and school loop. So none of the teachers really know how to use it. None of the students really know how to use it.
Remote learning might not be the best solution for every student. Parents considering homeschool are faced with the risk of their children losing their spot at their neighborhood school.
I would be much more likely to be homeschooling them if I could guarantee that they would just be in the homeschool spot next year. Yeah, the neighborhood school spot.
For now, LA County schools are only open for students needing specialized services. Visit covid19ca.gov for more updates on the possibilities of schools reopening by county. This is Joy Rowden, Campus Connection.
Well, in other news, basketball season is returning to the beach. Sports anchor Isaiah Castaneda tells us all about it.
Sports at the beach are still at a halt. With basketball season coming up in November, Long Beach State basketball is the main focus in restarting athletics for the university.
Long Beach State's athletic director Andy Fee has hinted in the past that basketball season may be returning after Thanksgiving break, but in reality, this cannot happen without proper COVID testing. Fortunately, the NCAA has approved a set date for basketball to return to the beach.
The two winter sports that we have, which are men's and women's basketball, have been delayed by a couple weeks. Their new start date is November 25th for the first date of competition.
Andy Fee's main concern is his players staying safe throughout the season, given the amount of contact they will have with others during games.
Andy Fee is looking forward to basketball season returning to the Pyramid this winter. His plan is to have all spring sports commence shortly after. This was Isaiah Castaneda with your latest on sports. Back to you.
Well, thank you for watching Campus Connection. I'm Wiley Johari. We'll see you next time.